Hello and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, I have another fragrance from the house of Dior. We are on this Dior kick on this channel, and the fragrance we have here today is Rose Gypsy. So I have found a seller that sells these fragrances essentially, and they're a little bit cheaper than what you would be paying at the actual department stores or at the Dior boutiques. And I decided to go for this fragrance for one particular reason. It's no longer available. I wanted to try it. I've never gotten to smell it before. And for that same reason, I was like, it's either now or never to do a review on this fragrance. I love the note of rose. It's one of my favorite actual notes, and it reminds me of my childhood because I grew up around a lot of roses and stuff. But long story short, this is a fragrance that we have here today, which is Rose Gypsy. So this is what the bottle looks like, and the color itself is going to be kind of a pinkish type of magenta type of color. It's a little bit more peachy in person. On camera, I know it's going to pick up a little bit more like purpley magenta or reddish, and that's not the color that it is in person, just so you do know. There's no specific date as to when this fragrance was discontinued. It is rumored that it was discontinued when Francis Kurkdjian took over the House of Dior as in-house perfumer, and this is a creation from François Dimaschi. Now, Francois Dimaschi was really big into roses. We saw him, really shift Miss Dior into a more rosy territory and kind of steer away from the patchouli type of vibe that fragrance was originally. But there was quite a few of different rose fragrances in this actual line when Francois Dimaschi was the in-house perfumer. So we had La Colle Noire, which is technically, yes, it is a rose fragrance. It's a very wet, rosy fragrance. It's similar to Rose de Vence by Louis Vuitton. And then we had Rose Kabuki, Rose Gypsy, and there's a lot of other ones that really make rose the star of the show. So kind of an overkill type of note in the House of Dior. By the way, she wants to say hi. Just so you do know, we're filming this on my birthday, so just say hello to Mishka. This fragrance was launched in 2017, and like I said, the perfumer for this fragrance is François Dimaschi. And the notes that it lists are May Rose and peppery notes. So when you get this fragrance and you first spray it, upon first spray, you get a very kind of generic type of scent. And I'm not trying to be mean when I say that. It's a rose scent with peppery notes. I think we've all smelled that before, and it's very generic at this point. You know what this fragrance really does smell like to me, even when it dries down? It smells like it's an element of another fragrance. So like if it's a piece of Miss Dior or it's supposed to go into another fragrance, there's nothing wrong with that itself. Now, May Rose is a very expensive note when it comes to perfumery. It is very hard to manufacture. It is very time consuming, and it's only able to be produced in the month of May. That's why it's called May Rose. It's originally or mostly from the Grasse region of France, and because of that, it makes it a little bit more expensive and makes it have a little bit more of a premium. It takes over 250 pounds of rose petals to manufacture a single ounce of rose essence for perfumery. So that is a lot of roses. That is a lot to make a perfume. And obviously, by judging the size of this guy, there is quite a bit of rose in this fragrance itself. So we have lots of rose petals in this fragrance itself. Now, when you first spray the scent, it comes off, like I said, very generic, but you get a very green-like quality behind it. It kind of smells like you're smelling the stems of the rose along with the rose petals, which is very unique. Have you guys ever like ripped apart a rose and taken off the rose petals when it's dying just to keep the rose petals to put it in a bathtub or something? And you have the stem. That stem has a very peculiar, very different smell. That's what this fragrance smells like along with the actual rose petals, which is, it's different. We don't usually see a lot of perfume houses take that actual element of the rose itself and implement it into the fragrance. So that's a little different. And then once you get the dry down, you get those peppery qualities to the fragrance. Mixed together with the green elements, the peppery elements, and the rosy elements, it creates a very different dynamic with this fragrance. It is rosy. It can come off, like I said, a little generic, but because it has that green quality in it, it adds a little bit of a je ne sais quoi. Now, the fragrance was originally inspired from the actual May rose fields and the sundown and the poeticness of those rose fields as the sun, like I said, sets or comes up at dawn, and the dewdrops that gather on the actual roses in the rose field. So Very nice little story behind it. It's very romantic. It's very in line with the house of Dior. Dior is a fragrance house and a couture house. It's supposed to be romantic. That's what the house of Dior started off with. You know, he was a very romanticizing type of person, and it does translate to the brand in today's market. I do like that about this scent. I do think that it sticks true to the actual heritage of Mr. Dior and his couture creations. If silk taffeta and couture had a scent, it would be Rose Gypsy. That's just what I think. I mean, you can think whatever you want, but that's what my interpretation of this fragrance comes off as. If it was a pink silk taffeta dress that's haute couture and it had a specific scent, it would smell like this fragrance. Does this fragrance have longevity and performance? It's in between. It's not going to be a powerhouse fragrance. It's not going to be a fragrance that's going to last you 6 to 7 hours. I don't think it's really meant to do that. May Rose as a fragrance note, when used in perfumery, is really not long wearing. It does dissipate very quickly because it's a more delicate flower note itself. The peppery notes will, linger a little bit more, and the green note as well will linger in this fragrance as well. But it's not going to be anywhere, past the 4 to 5 hour mark. It's not a weak fragrance either, so it's not going to be a fragrance that dissipates very quickly and disappears. But it's not going to be a powerhouse fragrance. It's literally smack in the middle, which is it's okay. It's not overwhelming. It's not too light to where you feel like you're wasting your money. So it's in the middle. Now I think this fragrance was discontinued because let me get this out here. It reminds me of this. It reminds me of Misty or the Eau de Parfum, the new one. It feels like Rose Gypsy is in here and they added more elements to the actual fragrance of Rose Gypsy and created Miss Dior. Because of that, I really feel like it doesn't have a purpose in the actual fragrance collection anymore, which is unfortunate. Like I said, we have Rose Kabuki, which is another rose fragrance. That one's supposed to be a little bit more lighter, a little bit more fresher. I don't see the purpose of that one either personally. I just think that they're kind of boring generic scents for the house of Dior, because I do love Dior as a fragrance house and as a couture house. If you don't know me, I worked for the house of Dior, and that was probably my favorite place to work at out of any fashion label ever in my entire time working. But with that being said, they do make some off the wall decisions when it comes to their fragrances, and this one itself, I do like. I do think it's nice. And I do think that if you are a rose lover, you should definitely try to get this one before it's gone. Because I think we'll see a lot of people will start to price this on eBay a lot more expensive. Everyone's gonna, want to charge you an arm and a leg for this fragrance. And if you like I said, what I'm giving you as a description, which is that peppery green rose essence, then definitely check out this fragrance and get it before it's too late and before they're charging you $1,000 for a bottle. And yeah, I mean, if you also like Rose Kabuki, I think you'll like this one. They're very similar in a lot of ways, but they're also very different and have their own personalities. Where Rose Kabuki is a lot more light and kind of refreshing and kind of playful, this one's going to be a little bit more serious, a little bit more high-tuned and refined, if you will, a little bit more haute couture, and definitely a little bit more serious. That's why I think you'll like one of these scents and you'll like both of them, of course. So let me know down in the comments what your thoughts on this fragrance are. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Have you tried it? Let me know all of that down below. Also, comment down below what fragrance from the La Collection Privée do you want me to try on this channel. I have tried quite a bit of them, and some of them do very well, and then some of them it feels like no one had any interest in them whatsoever. So instead of going through the trouble of getting a fragrance that no one wants me to review anyways, let me know down in the comments what you would actually like to see and what you would actually like me to review. So let me know down in the comments what your thoughts on this fragrance are. Also make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more fragrance related content. Until next time, you guys, take care. Bye.